Tol. I'm the Executive Director of Water Evolution Foundation, organizer of this panel event, together with KNVTS, Eric. Welcome to the members of the KNVTS, welcome to the supporters of Water Evolution Foundation and everyone else in the room. Thank you for making the time to join this exciting panel discussion with such a distinguished group of panelists who you'll be properly introduced to in a minute. You're at a session that will be about the future of superyacht design and how to make sustainability a really new level of luxury. And what do we mean with that? Currently, luxury has a certain perception, and how can we move on from that current perception, and how can we really make sure that luxury that is very much being looked at by groups in society of unnecessary, conspicuous, all of the above, and to really make sure that it actually is transforming into a much more front runner in order to make technology more available and more functional and quicker accelerated to the broader audience and public to utilize those technologies. So we are going to discuss that today. We're very pleased to have Dr. Julia Riedmeier as our moderator today. She's an expert in luxury. She even is a professor at the University of Monaco teaching luxury strategies. So that's already showing it's even a science. So that's really interesting, and we're going to learn much more about the work that she has done. And I want to do a quick reality check of this morning. I don't know if you noticed, but adjacent to the METSTRADE is the Superyacht Forum, and this morning protesters from extinct rebellions were at the forum and confronting the yachting industry with the obviously environmental impact that it has. And they believe it's not very forward-thinking and progressing in this on this topic. We know a little bit more details on obviously what the yachting sector is doing, but it's clear that the expectations in society on what this luxury industry is doing needs acceleration, needs communication, and needs involvement. It needs to be out of a bubble, the yachting bubble, and it needs to be part of society. And here in the Netherlands, we're very proud of the yachting sector because we create them, but they are used somewhere else. So we have all the jobs and all the economic impact from that. But they are, as soon as they are being used, they go to the south of France or the Caribbean. So we don't have that user, let's say, perspective in the Netherlands. But it's just really good to be aware of that this is happening, and this will only become more. And therefore, again, it's more important that we have more sustainable, not only perception but also realization of luxury. I just actually wanted to keep it very short, so now I really want to pass on the microphone that you have on here to Julia to introduce the distinguished panelists. And enjoy the session. Thank you for coming.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Robert. I'm also standing up for this brief introduction. So thanks for the kind introduction, the good words, and especially a huge thank you to all of you who are here today. Because this room, we got the update, it's fully booked. So there is a huge interest in the topic, and as Robert said, luxury often, and we're going to ask you as well, and it's negatively perceived. So the session will be very interactive. We have included 2 interactive elements, so please engage with us on the topics that we have, and especially on shaping a better future for luxury and the superyacht industry together. So I would like to welcome Dasha Moronova of Dasha Moronova Designs. 15 years as an interior designer in the industry, worked on several projects from Eclipse to Luna to the St. Alice, a very sustainable project. Some of you might know and will learn about more today. Then we have Marcus from Atlas as the corporate strategy executive head. You are focusing on innovative solutions for outfitting, especially industries, superyachts, but next to superyachts, on business aviation and luxury residencies. Then we have Michaela joining us from Italy. So Michaela is an award-winning architect and interior designer. So she's also professor of yacht design at 3 universities in Italy, and she takes it from an approach of an ecosystem, so focusing on reflection, research, and how can aesthetics balance with functionality and innovations. Then we have Tanu from Friendship, devoted now architects with us. So also you see the panel is quite diverse, and we are very happy to have such a great panel here together. So Tanu joined Friendship in 1996, and you're head of design since 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Perfect. So you also drive under your studio in terms of innovation and how you can combine functionality with innovation and also aesthetics under your roof. And we have Moritz Schmiedinger from Better Outfitting, and really focusing on fully custom yachts. And as I remember correctly, you were part of 50% of the 100 biggest Superyachts ever built. So, if you have questions, please feel free to ask us questions. We're going to have an interactive session at the very end. And well, as said, thank you so much for listening and especially for being part of this movement. And I would like to start exactly what I promised with an interactive element. So please take your smartphone. You have 2 options to go on Slido. I will activate the session now. So you can scan the QR code on the right-hand side, or you can simply go on slido.com, and with this, you get to a site, and there will be the first question now active, and it's you. One question to answer: what do you associate with luxury? So any kind of word that comes to your mind, please type it in and press send. And I will get all of your input on my smartphone, and we will do a little recap on what luxury actually means, because before we will talk about super yacht design, we need to understand what luxury is, what is the bridge that we can have, and especially in respect to the 3 evolutionary stages of luxury. So 8 people already participated, 9 increasing, perfectly. So I'm gonna start reading what I see here. So we have, oh, this is interesting, even votes, 25 people. So we have comfort, we have exclusivity, beauty, relax, then elegance, happiness, custom made, unique, awesomeness. Fantastic. Stress-free and relaxation. We also have watches. Oh, we also have unsustainable. Yeah, you can see, perfect. So with those votes that you have and 40 participation, we can have a nice word cloud that you might see. So we have in the middle comfort, exclusivity, quality, and beauty. And if we think back what luxury truly stands for, we think about craftsmanship. Yes, we think about something that is of very high price, nicely aesthetically designed. And with a colleague of mine in 2019, we wanted to understand, because you also named new words that rather refer to the new luxury. So we wanted to know what is going on in the luxury industry and make sense of all of these trends that are happening. And we retrieved from our study 3 evolutionary stages of luxury. Traditional luxury on the left, I am what I own. So very materialistic interpretation of luxury. More and more, luxury is moving into the new luxury. I am what I experience. However, so we did the study pre-pandemic, 2019, and we have covered 7 trends. Digitalization, well-being, co-creation, collaboration. Things that normally, in a traditional sense, would never ever be possible for luxury brands to participate in. Up to the neo-luxury, the 3rd evolutionary stage, I am what I meaningfully contribute. So, topics that go beyond the pure possession. And the question is, how can we link this new approach to luxury that is not just about showing off, but more subtle, more appreciative, more collaborative, more inclusive? How can we make the link now to Superyachts? And I would like to invite the panel now to exactly this discussion of materialistic, experiential, and the purpose-driven. So from the purely technical side, what we have on the left, to the experiences, explorer yachts, enjoying the sea, the beach clubs, the water toys, up to something maybe using the yacht as a research vessel. And to start this off, I would like to give the word to you, Marcus, and also to tell a little bit about F-List. And you have a beautiful claim. You have recrafting, handcrafted luxury. So tell us a little bit more about how this 3 stages link to what you're doing.
So thank you very much for the question. I would like actually to start off with the history of our company. We started in 1950 as a joinery, and we did furniture for residences. So the owner had an idea how the furniture needs to look like. We moved that into hotels, cruise ships, and eventually into superyachts. Early stage, the definition of an interior was given by the designer, industrial designer, and we did the construction, traditional construction, maybe some decorative material, maybe exclusive, but very traditional. In 2002, our company moved into aviation. So we learned out of furniture to fly. That required a lot of technology to get that achieved. And this is exactly the technology we're seeing in new luxury. It's 3D shaped furniture. It's very exclusive decorative surfaces. And a furniture may look very different than it looked 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So a lot of technology infusion. And as you heard before, I'm a strategy guy. So 2018, 2019, we started to think about, as Julia said, what's next? What is needed? And we have a very powerful R&D department. So as many other companies as well. But they all on facts, data, and eventually a product. There's no emotion, there's no elements of satisfying themselves. I mean, the end customer, what kind of satisfaction he wants, what kind of journey he wants, what is his view of the world. So we decided to incorporate an incubator, which thinks about disruptive technology and in combination with nature. And we just announced a month ago publicly the F-List shapeshifter, but also we announced some new natural material. The shapeshifter, and you may want to look at it, it's on YouTube, on the F-List, gives a complete new view of interior, creating space where there is no space, creating functionality when needed, but when not needed, the furniture may have a different form, shape. So complete disruptive, but going into that direction, we're also using and created new material, natural material or artificial material with a net zero impact. So that's in combination with our company history, how we ended up in neo-luxury. And I guess we talk much more about neo-luxury afterwards. But I believe it's a good correlation of company history to what happens out in the field and in the market.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Marcus. And we have on the screen, we have some examples of this as well. And later on also when Desha will talk about materials and how sustainability can be often there. So we tackle Superyacht design from many different perspectives, and later on we will have also what does it mean, what can the Superyacht industry learn, especially from other industries or segments like private aviation or luxury residences. So I would like to invite Tano for you to jump and open up the traditional luxury space with exactly this example.
Yes, exactly. Well, this was a yacht that we did in 2018. So it's not that far away actually. However, it is the traditional idea of a yacht, how you use a yacht, how a yacht is made in the, I think already in the 80s. And the idea behind this yacht is enjoying being on the water. So what Mr. Fritz de Vogt said in the early days, it's camping on the water. Yachting is camping on the water. And that is exactly what it does. Of course, in brilliant luxury, however, still it has to be one with nature, be one with where you are, and enjoy where you are. And that's the stage of luxury for this yacht.
Thank you. And you said, even though we have a recent development of the yacht, you're going back to the classical idea. And this is also preserving the heritage and what comes along with where yachting is starting at the core.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's also what's going about with our clients, I think. It's they want the luxury, they can afford the luxury. And I was hearing these topics on the screen, like I was missing fun. But the comfort and everything, they can afford that. And you can do that in a yacht that we are building in our industry, with all the components, the interior, the exterior, everything together, and combine that and make that beautiful luxury product.
So, enjoying the time on board with loved ones, and especially the free time. I would like to tap upon this because that absolutely relates to the new luxury, to the experiential component. So, if we look into this, and I would, like to invite you to comment on Savannah, where this can be further evolved.
Well, this brings one step further, actually. It's to be honest, it's our Nemo lounge. It's a lounge that has the windows underwater, where you can enjoy the views underwater from a very beautiful lounge out there. It can also double as a cinema. However, that's not the main goal. The main goal was to push the boundaries of luxury. And again, enjoying the surroundings, being one with nature on your ship, in your ship. And of course, again, pushing the limits is something that we love to do in Superyachting. But still, when I see this, I think, yes, of course we do that. Yes, it's already history. It was easy almost. It wasn't. I'll see if you guys here say crazy. We can do this, and we can offer this to our clients. And again, the Savannah Half Deck, this boat was totally enjoying the surroundings.
Absolutely.
This is the Half Deck, so close to the water, so much being one with the. It's hard to see it. I'll show you a picture later. But it's so cool to really transform an idea into a product like this.
Yeah, and it blends in with nature as well, so it's very organically evolving. And talking about enjoying the time with family, with friends, with loved ones, and that was a conversation we had, Tasha, right? So the experiential component.
No, I think that we can see kind of a change in the last 10 years, and also a bit new generation of younger owners of superyachts. That it's about different things. As we said, it's not about what you own, but also what you experience and how you spend your time. And it's also, we can't forget about that. The most important thing about superyacht is to be on the open water, enjoy the ocean, enjoy the nature. Yeah? And I think that's what is very happily coming back. That we are getting close to nature. We want to spend quality time with our family and friends, and we want to explore, and we want to see the world.
You're talking about exploring, right?
Yes, so this is one of the very, very first projects which I was very happily involved in when I started my career in 15 years ago. But it was a project when I was working for owner side of the client for company Blue Ocean Management, and we were building Eclipse and Luna at the same time, building in the Blumenfos shipyard in Hamburg. And one of the yachts which we were building for the owner was also Luna, which was more expeditional boat and really about to explore and go to see the nature. So we built two superyachts at the same time for the same owner. One was more luxurious in terms of enjoying family time and cruising, but the other one was really more about going to the sort of harder climates and explore the world from different sides. So that's
Thank you very much, Dasha. Now, question the audience. So, if you're seeing this, if you're hearing this, you might wonder, where is the part on sustainability? And we will get there now. Because these stages, and why we're here together in this setting as well, it's sustainability always needs to be considered from the environmental perspective, but also from the social one. And by including, let's say, different personality, different stakeholders in the whole creation of such an exceptional product in the end. However, if we talk about the neo-luxury approach that we're building upon owning the traditional one of materialistic components, plus the experiential side. However, if we go now one step further, and there is no right or wrong in this way, however, there are beautiful concepts and builds that are already out there and would just, you tell her to a little bit.
This is quite interesting because we do concepts at Vetship now and then, and we try to do it about every year just to push ourselves, our own creative ideas, but also the environment around us, so the arts, sales, but also our clients and the industry. And this was a concept that we did in 2009. And why I'm showing is, and there are a few people in the room actually that contributed in this project, which was great. But why we did this project actually was, the goal was actually what we're talking about now, to make a yacht more sustainable. And that was in 2009. We're now in 2022. And finally, we're getting to a point that we're collaborating within the industry, really with each other, to get to a certain standard that we say, okay, now we really have to act. But from my point of view, it's a waste of 10 years or more than 10 years. So that was why I wanted to show this concept. We were all thinking about it. I think every designer in that time was also thinking about it. People were thinking about it, and there was a lot of rumor about sustainability. But there was no action at that time. So I'm very happy with this kind of platforms. Revolution Foundation, fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sean, which perfectly blends into Michaela, what your action is and how you perceive sustainability, right? Because for you as well, dating back, it's just, for you it's something, it's not a trend, you always had it ingrained in your DNA, in your work, in your philosophy, right?
Yes. In fact, when I knew that I had to participate immediately, and I saw the panel, the guideline, I immediately thought about Salamaris because chronologically she owns to the period of the traditional luxury. But in effect, there was already a lot of elements leading to the next stages of luxury. And thanks also to the foresighting client that allowed us to express our vision without being scared of changing any rules. And then the intervention of Dr. Viene Loteri that help us to also to look beyond luxury, because from the traditional luxury we already tried to think about a boat that could be completely different, conceived differently, and so even the general arrangement were developed in order to have a more transversal area that could enjoy the sea breeze and reduce air conditioning. Also a lot of filter areas between the salons, where we could leave the space like inside or outside according to the needs. And also, of course, study materials that were not so vinculated by humidity, temperature, something that could be more elastically enjoyed. And also the arrangement, for instance, so the orientation of the sofa towards the sea, because it was one of the first boats with such a huge window glass around us. So also the possibility to enjoy dynamic paintings that were never the same. And so it was less oriented into something, okay, I have to affirm my status, what I reached, what I have. But it was more enjoy nature, enjoy family, everything much more intimate. And that of course then led also to different choices in the arrangement, in the furniture and everything. And then if we look at these slides, we see as at the end, it also went beyond, because apart from some technologies, but it was also used as a sort of laboratory. So here we can see Dr. Diana Loteri collecting water to update scientific data for the scientific community. So something that is not just I enjoy my boat, but I also go further.
Go further, yeah. So I see nodding heads. Looking into the audience, nodding heads. Does it sound logical for you? Is it something that also when we talk about we have the interior aspect, we have the novel architecture aspect. From more of an outfitting perspective, what is your take? Maybe more on Marcus, what has been shared so far?
Well, I think sort of being only on the interior side, what we see as not designing, but really just following the concept and then producing things, we don't really see an involvement throughout the last year. Certainly, I mean, you mentioned 2009, sort of the first ideas and having the sustainability topic out there. Looking at the last projects that we've done and or as well the tenders that are out there currently, we don't see that level of sustainability going into any aspect of the art. So question is why? Why is this the case? I mean, obviously there are many stakeholders that influence that, and maybe the industry wasn't ready at the time. Are we ready now? We have to. There is no option to that. There is. We all have to, as we sit in here, all part of the industry. Every one of us has to do something about this. Get out of the comfort zone and do something, whether it's personal or on business level, and then within the industry. And so just looking at the interior, there are lots of things that we can do to drive that as well, whether it's F&D and really research and development in order to give the options to the designers, to everyone else in the industry, or to get out of our comfort zone and do something about it.
Yeah. And what you
Marit, you're saying out of your comfort zone, but it's so uncomfortable to do this then. That's my question. I mean,
It shouldn't.
Yeah. Why? It's our profession. We can do this. I mean, everybody. You know from the interior what you want to change, but it doesn't come back to the party where it's drawn up, as the designs, or to the owner. I think the owner shouldn't even be bothered with it. I mean, it should be something that the sustainability should be in the boat already that we offer.
Exactly.
That should be it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be bothered by everything. It's fun.
Yeah.
With the entertainment business, it's yachting. I mean, they don't need a yacht. They want it because it's fun. It's nice to have. And, let us provide that as an industry. It would be cool.
As a interior designer, we can try to promote a new lifestyle and also let them understand that there is nothing privative in adopting a more sustainable solution, because if we look at the essence of luxury, it is beauty, it is quality, exclusivity, but they can coexist perfectly with sustainability. Yeah.
But I guess the ecosystem is not ready yet. I mean, what you said, we're one step behind. We may do the owner's room, we may do the VIP and deliver our interior to the prime contractor. We don't see anything into the direction of sustainability today. We see much more in the aircraft industry because there is demanded. It's much higher visibility. And the second one to the statement made before is, I believe we need technology. We need technology which works. And I guess we're going to talk about the owner later on, but
please go ahead. I think it's very important also generationally.
It can be for the younger generation of ultra-high net worth individuals extremely important to be sustainable. But they don't care about what kind of power plant, they don't care about the whole design, they just care about the emission. And if we get to that stage, that every small piece is an element to creating emissions. And we need to get to a net zero stage for a super yacht. But we don't see it. So there's a desire from a customer viewpoint. I guess there's a desire from the supply chain and from the shipyards, but we don't see it. I look at the designers.
No, I would like to say something before we go to technology, something more extended. I think that basis, for example, Feder and Moritz, we know each other for many years because we work together on Eclipse and different projects. And I think it can go that basic as it is, as you use the waste, because of course, Superyacht is about luxury. And we do use the most beautiful materials. And we say, okay, this part of the hide and this leather, it's what we will use. And there is a huge waste which is thrown. So we talked about it already, like the owner doesn't need to know what is, we can use on crew areas. We can use on lots of small detailing, you know, on the handles and here and there. So I think this work has to start, from really basic things like, okay, we have this material which is waste, but it's beautiful material, and we can definitely reuse it even somewhere else. And that's us as a designer, and so I always say it's so important for all of us, not only designers, but engineers, innovators, like all of us sit together and see what we can do and how we can use the material, how we can help each other. And that's the very basic first step.
But even during the project, we can, apart from, of course, studying the optimization of all the function of all the areas and the circulation and everything, but we can even think about a possible reuse or recycle of everything. So try to avoid anything that is fluid, try to understand how it could be reused, disassembled and reused, and maybe even for the furniture, considering that in effect some statement elements that are on board could be even have a new life, because boats are iconic, and there's often clients are iconic and really visible. So probably we could even try to create a market, showrooms, an auction, I don't know, something that can allow to give a new life also to some elements.
And it exists, It's, sometimes the owners actually let, when it comes to refit, they literally say, okay, so we have all this furniture which we are not going to throw away. So there is a market where you can actually go and purchase, or get it for free, some pieces from
And even projecting the elements could be thought considering a new possible life.
But what you're talking, I think this is very interesting. So we heard it today and the previous days, quite a collaboration. We need to sit down, and the question is, what can we do as an industry? Because how can we get the perception, this aspiration, not just owning the yacht, but going the step forward? I want to have a sustainable yacht. I mean, it's nice to have risk reduction, cost reduction, but how can we exactly offer these services that they say, yes, I invest in the future, I invest in a higher value of my vessel. So that would be exactly what does it take in the end, especially Moxie mentioned younger generations. So we can have, they want to have it, and the question is, as what Robert, you mentioned earlier, short picture, there is a need. There's a need, and should we develop a standard so that it's sustainable, full stop, and we don't have those options that turns into smartest.
I don't believe it needs a standard. It's because we're talking about an environment where the customer wants to have a bespoke solution. I guess it's coming back to the supply chain. It's on us that we decarbonize our production, our material processes. Give you an example: we have a photovoltaic system on our production plants with 1.2 million watts, which is about 550 tons of CO2 equivalent per year, which we're saving. We have a small river, we're using that river for conditioning, production facilities, and so on and so on. This is all very small pieces, but when we're talking about technology, be it in the monument or be it in the material, that all counts. Because at the end, the material is, when you do life cycle assessment, has a good rating, and the technology infusion gives, again, a very, how should I say that, bespoke solution. Because what we're developing can be done as a unique monument, functionality, space, and surface. But we need to work in our own facility first, because that's one of the mosaic elements to the entire story.
But I think, yes, of course, and I think, but every one of us has to contribute, and whether it's out of the comfort zone or within the comfort zone, it is what it is. We all have to work in the industry. Hank de Vries yesterday, or was it the day before, mentioned it's a do or die in terms of company, of business running within the industry or for the industry itself probably. So, but I would see it as like in the big picture even, how can we achieve that? We have to turn it around that there are options actually to the client. I mean, it's a big statement that, well, let's put it out there that there is only this type of yacht that you can buy. And it is a sustainable, it's not, I know it's not possible probably at this stage, but where we show, well, there's a sustainable, this is the solution, this is what you can have, and this is old fashioned, this is not what you want actually, and it's a sale process of the yacht, obviously, primarily in the yacht.
Take one step back, because as a designer, you draw something up and someone always says, that's not possible. Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, you guys know what I mean. And why isn't it then that you say not to the designer, well, that's not possible because that's not sustainable. So then we solve it within the process, instead of getting the client again in front, like, no, you can't do that. I mean, it's pretty hard to sell something to someone and say, oh, you can't have that.
Yeah, but probably in the process is even more difficult because they're expecting something, and then if you say, well, actually...
Yeah, but then you're, again, in the process already.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
You have to find an alternative solution.
The time for solutions when you are into a project, it's...
No, not into the project.
I think...
before the project. I agree with you, never change something within the project, because the project is very angry at you. I know, so...
But to that discussion, if it's being said that's not possible, shouldn't we accept the challenge to make it possible?
Yes,
Absolutely.
I mean, what we did with Shapeshifter was a requirement out of the aviation industry, and it had potential merit into the residents of the yachting. And when we started, everyone said it's not possible. Even the company internally, the incubated people from our future lab were all, they don't know what they're doing yet, they don't understand it. And finally we mastered it. It takes time.
We actually build a few yachts like that.
But the element to that is, instead of saying no, to find somewhere which accepts that challenge.
Yeah.
True.
And those who are accepting the challenge are most probably the ones that are leading the movement, and they are the ones that can make a difference. And especially in Moritz, as you said, it's not adapt or die, because in the end, it's we need to, and that is a fantastic mission also of the Water Revolution Foundation, we need to preserve the oceans. If we don't preserve the oceans, the industry, where will it be? And the same for any kind of company. We can, I mean, looking back into innovations, those who were reluctant in engaging in innovations, they left the market. And that's a very interesting perspective if we look into luxury brands, for example. You might have seen that normally luxury brands in previous times, the traditional ones, they always counted on heritage, 100 years existence. And now more and more over the years, the DNVBs, digital native vertical brands, entered the market. High price point, perfect quality, transparency, digitalization, customization, and suddenly, boom, the market or the traditional luxury brands get a competition. Because those new brands are thinking from the customer, from the client. What is actually the problem those customers are facing, and we're providing solutions. And I think when we look into, I mean, there are different segments, and Marcus has mentioned also aviation, luxury residences, all of that, we can look and how can we provide solutions to problems that exist and think customer-centric. And I would like to continue the discussion and invite you in a couple of minutes as well to think about it, and you already keep that thought in your mind about sustainable yachting. But Dasha, you worked on a very innovative, sustainable project. Alice, would you like a little heads up? Who is familiar or has heard about the Nelson Alice project?
Right.
Hands up. So, Dasha.
Can we move the slides?
Yes, you're gonna.
So
Yes.
let's,
I'll give you the clicker.
So last year this project was presented at the Monaco Yacht Show by Larsen. So this is a project which is very innovative in terms of it's not a typical motor yacht. So because I'm not going to details in technical and it's methanol and all that stuff. It's amazing, and this year actually in September Monaco Yacht Show, Larsen was promoting and showing more. So last year we presented model, as you can see, and this year they were deeper and they were showing only how actually it works and how the motornols and how it's all connected, and it's amazing. It's super, super smart. And I was very lucky to be asked to help with the interior side and also with a bit of exterior styling. So what we did is, it's a concept, 98 meter, but it's about the connection between around nature and how to enjoy more luxurious time, but be sustainable, be kind to the nature. So it's a beautiful design which was done by the Netherlands architect Jim Sloiter, which is the main exterior designer for Larsen. And we used to work together at Winch Designs. So because I was very lucky because we worked with Jim at several projects at Winch Designs, he asked me if I can help him. And this project started as a really funny project because it's supposed to be for Miniature Wonderland in Hamburg. It's a beautiful place. They are making like miniatures into the world, and they are making a part of Monaco. And they asked Larsen to create a boat which will be standing there, something innovative, something different. And Jim came up with this design, and then he asked me if I can help with interior because we wanted to show more, and we also created, my team and I, we did also movie which you can find on the Larsen website. It's a 2.5 minutes movie really going from inside out and everything. And the name is Alice, and the Alice in Wonderland. But it was it's not Wonderland because we can produce it, and Larsen is really able to produce it as it is immediately. But what I was trying to show so that we used all natural, sustainable materials. I have some beautiful samples here as well, which I can show you later. But we were all using them. And the main thing is about it, some people, some other things and sustainable designs, it's not, luxurious, but sustainability really does not compromise on luxury or uniqueness. We can produce all of these beautiful materials from the nature and from the waste like crab shells or some piece of wood, but being creative, you can really do beautiful things. So this is just a few images what we did on a project. But I would like to ask you to have a look at that movie because it's really, really nice, and you will see the world.
Maybe a comment from the aerospace industry, when we introduce natural material, the customer still wants to differentiate. So it's extremely important to provide a USB, which means to create on top of this natural material a certain haptic, a certain pattern, or a certain color, and that's the real USB, is not the natural material.
Yeah, and also actually what I wanted to mention is that what is changing now is kind of connection between exterior and interior. And also what is changing, it's, so if you can see on Alice, we really sort of put together the flow between interior, exterior, large windows, lots of light coming in. It's all about well-being. It's about us feeling healthy, being kind to ourselves, and light materials. But it's all about textures, Yeah.
See, he has fading the boundaries between interior and exterior. And so, of course, it, as I said before, it carries on also a new selection, something that is able to enjoy the both situation, and it can not enjoy, sorry, it can exist in both situations without affecting
the overall experience. And we talked about that before, right? Sometimes if we think about sustainability, it's green, and sometimes maybe not aesthetically, and that is also, it's green and not aesthetically, also what you mentioned, how to combine the function, the innovation, the technology, and still having it aesthetically pleasing, by also having a peace of mind and a good feeling of experiencing the materials, but knowing that they are sustainably sourced as well. We talked about teak wood, we talked about also exotic materials, now a discussion, it's not today, but now we do. So of course there's the question, more and more, with what kind of materials am I surrounding myself? How should be the natural flow? How is the overall layout impacting my well-being? Because then we can talk also about health and mindfulness and all these things that come together. It might be a next step. So about the concepts, yes, there are concepts out there, and we talked a little bit about sustainable yachting. And I would like to invite you, now what you've heard, but what also your thoughts are on sustainable yachting to share with us. And therefore, give me just a second to activate the new word cloud call. So, and I will need to log in for a second, and then continue.
Yeah, during that
Yes, please.
during that Superyacht forum, there was also interesting discussion between the two top leading shipyards, which was Larsen and Fetchin. And of course, so we were talking about sort of electric or methanol or lots of different new approaches. But unfortunately, for example, the methanol we had, that it's still not possible to be built on small boats. Like, it has to be like 60, 70 meter plus. So, and there's, what is your,
Yeah, but we're looking into that, how we can make it happen also for smaller boats, of course.
Because there's no space. So we actually were talking about that there is no
space for
to put them.
something,
Yeah.
so you should use the space correctly, and still. Then the question is how does the client wants to use the space, and this is, I think, the focus point right now. I think we've got a solution for the bigger boats, and let's see what works for smaller boats, and also maybe it's something that we have got to look into in rules and regulations, for instance, because this is a new era, and we've got to see what is happening there. That's not my domain, don't worry, but it's something that affects us all, and it's something that is really important. So we should have that collaboration, and I see someone already saying, I see this collaboration within the whole industry, and see what we can do to reach the point where we have to be.
Exactly. Because everything it's on us, designers, innovators, new technology, everything. Whatever we produce, whatever we come up with, it should be sort of kind, and that should be sustainable. So the clients will buy or will take what we design. Yeah.
And then, in effect, if we have some space available, we will do our best use of that space. So, even because sometimes there is even an overabundance of salons and bars and so on. So maybe before I meant reorganize, redo general arrangement, optimizing function and circulation. So trying to see what really is needed on board, and in this aim also to promote, as I said, a little bit a new lifestyle. So change even the life on board in a more efficient way.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the discussion here. We have 40 people who participated in the workshop, or 40 counts on this. Thank you very much for being active, and Robert, you mentioned it's all visible, right? So everyone has a visible word cloud on their phone. If you scan the QR code or log in
slido.com with the code. And we have, with 4 votes, a zero emission, then recyclable, wind propulsion systems, modularity, but we also have, of course, greenwashing, material storytelling. So how can we, and there we tap into the topic of aspirational, because it's not functional, right? It's not something that is too technical driven. So we need to create an aspiration as well. How should it become a must-have instead of an add-on? And from looking further, use of recycled materials, we have the production, the positive impact, a fairy tale, out of curiosity. Who wrote fairy tale? Hand up. Oh, fantastic. Do we have a microphone? Tell us a little bit more about your thoughts behind fairy tale.
Well, it's on one hand is something that is not really possible. On the other hand, something that it's like a dream, and you should still make it happen somehow.
Okay, this is a nice interpretation. So, what does it take? So, why is it hard to achieve, or why is it something to aspire for? What's your take?
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward answer. We don't have a choice. And for me, the discussion about what more can we do or how more sustainable it can be is a bit, we should be talking what to do to really go to zero emission, like today, I would say. So from that perspective, it's just like that.
Yeah. So that's, and I think thank you very much for commenting and sharing your thoughts on this. We have no choice, and I think we are here to discuss about the future. We are here now also with the Superyacht Forum. We started on Monday talking about sustainability, about responsibility. What can we do? And I think everyone is aware there is no other chance. We need to find solutions. It shouldn't be a trend. It should become standard. And especially also what I really appreciate is the willingness, especially amongst competitors, to sit on a table and say, let's discuss. Because only collaboratively we can make a change. And the more we drive innovation and engage in the positive aspect that can happen, the more the industry will become better. However, I also saw, of course, we have negative side of sustainability, and some companies might be even very much afraid of, can I do this? Will I be accused of greenwashing? So nevertheless, sustainability is a huge, huge topic, and we talk about, yes, of course, the environmental impact a lot, but there is also the social one, and what we talked about, the crew, for example, on board is another topic. We talked a lot, Moritz and I, we had a chat yesterday about propulsion, but the question is about Superyacht design and where can it start? How to make such a beautiful surrounding as aspirational as possible. And I saw also a comment on transparency, which I think is absolutely key. And I can just make a link to luxury brands where it is the case that it's very secretive and very protective, not sharing information, maintaining the fairy tale, maintaining the dream. And however, we need to be transparent and give a little bit of insights to the processes, to exactly what you mentioned about what do you do as an individual, but from a company perspective, what do you really do to contribute? And in this way, ingraining it in your company DNA, right? What was the impulse for you to go this direction with your company?
I mean, to what we just discussed is we need a market strategy for that industry. There are a lot of great companies around which are doing innovation, but it's not connected as an ecosystem. The big question we have in that industry, equally so in the business aircraft or in the airline, who takes the lead? That's a very difficult question to solve, because when you want to have an industry strategy to achieve zero emission, and specifically in the European Union, I'm criticizing it right now because it's going over taxes instead of going over innovation. So the European Union could lead a strategy for an industry, for a market, but they do go completely in a different direction. When we compare to the US, is focus on innovation, focus on reducing emissions, and not on taxes. I mean, that's one of the big problems we have and needs to be solved. So if not, a European organization takes the lead. Who takes the lead from the industry? I don't know. We're a small one. We're very small. We do 5 to 6 interiors a year, delivering to a prime contractor. We can do our part, but who is taking the lead for the big picture? I guess that's a question which needs to be answered.
It's a good question, yeah. But,
So,
Maybe I'll just two things that I wanted to add. I think I found it interesting that whatever was mentioned now in regards to sustainable yachting was all about ecological parts, and I'm 1000% for that, because that's what really matters. And I mentioned that before, to do or die kind of thing, literally. But I think we should not forget what we all are doing on the other side of it, of the social components that are just 100% relevant. I mean, we're all doing something that no one needs, and what we're actually doing is taking the money of someone that has way too much and distributing it to everyone that works in the industry, from the small carpenter to the cleaning lady, whatever it is. So this aspect is something that we should be proud of, and we should share as well, and put as well, not on the forefront because it's just a small part, but it's a very relevant part. We can't sell anything with it. We can't say to a new client, well, actually, this is what we're doing in sustainability. We're taking your money and we're distributing it. Clearly not, but it's something that we somehow should include in our marketing that we're doing as an industry, because it is relevant. But again, not taking away from any of the other, which is far more important, certainly, or in a different way.
and you mentioned a very important word, we as an industry. So it's not I, so it's a we, it's a collaborative approach, and that everyone who is participating along the value supply chain. And especially because we can have a look at it. I mean, it depends. Every one of us has a choice, right? Everyone of us has a choice. It starts by going to the supermarket of what you do. Well, how do you drink your water? What do you do with waste? How much you consume? Where do you fly? When do you take the bike? When do you walk? When do you take the car? So every one of us has a choice. But it's always easy to say, yes, it should be the shipyard doing it, right? I don't have anything to contribute. But I think it takes all of the people involved, from the client up to the very front, we talk about materials, what are the source, what are the people behind? Are these ethically, are there not endangered materials being used? Up to really what do the companies that are playing an active part, what are they doing on their sustainable part in ecological, environmental, and economic terms. So having a look at the time, I would invite you and then also the audience for a brief Q&A session. But reflecting upon what we discussed in the past minutes and what is going on in your mind. So one sentence to close this panel discussion on the future of superyacht design and how sustainability can become the new aspirational luxury for clients, for the industry, for everyone involved. So yeah, what will it take to have yachts pioneering this sustainable luxury movement? One sentence is short, but maybe Dasha. Ladies first in this case.
Yeah, interesting, yeah. Well, I think important is that sustainability, it's I don't know, almost like it's really what we all do. Yeah, it's start from there, from our households up to everything, and the fact that we are talking about superyachts and luxury, it's about that sustainability does not compromise on uniqueness and luxury. That's good.
Thank you very much.
I'm
Maxi, what do you like to
not going to be better, because I got to combine two elements to it. One, what was said before, is that we need an industry strategy to bring that ecosystem up to speed to achieve two objectives. And secondly, I mean, everyone reminds quality is expected. We're not discussing quality. we need to get to the point of sustainability. It has the same level as quality is expected.
Thank you very much. I would like to direct to Moritz, if that's okay. From an outfitting perspective, I think that could fit.
Well, I
Very well to
think
quote.
obviously this every one of us in the industry with our we have to show intrinsic motivation to lead basically and give all the tools that everyone within the industry needs. We need to provide those tools so that in the end the top, which is the shipyards and the designers, can actually turn it around and say, well, this is the new luxury, but this is a sustainable luxury, and from that moment on we can move on. And I think on your point that obviously there needs to be a driving force, and I think obviously Robert with the Water Revolution Foundation is clearly as far as I understand it, the driving power behind it that actually does combine everything that we're talking about, is able to assist in getting it into the right directions, whether it is technology, whether it is waste management, or whatever it is, that we share all these ideas and bring that together, which is for every one of us getting business, I think, out of the comfort zone and then pushing towards the next step.
And I did not mention before, which links it perfectly also to what can we as individuals and that collectively do. You were one of the first certified sustainability practitioners. So
I think the two of us,
Yes,
the two of us were part of that. I think 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, and
Before pandemic, yes.
and I can only encourage everyone to be part of that, because that's a good way to, or great way actually, to reflect yourself. That's number one, and give your company the chance as well to reflect on what we're doing and where are we going, or where can we go. And I don't think there might be other ways of doing that, obviously, clearly, but I think it's absolutely necessary to have someone in the company that is able to steer that idea of sustainability, which is not an idea anymore, it's there, steer that and make the best out of it. So I think it's I'm not getting paid for that, but I think you should clearly look into that.
You paid for it.
I paid for it, exactly.
yeah, but it starts with the individualistic willingness to be interested to move things forward. And thank you very much, Noor, for saying this, and also, I mean, being together with Michaela on this. So for you also, it's not trend, it was a standard from the beginning on, a pure conviction, and you said it's, absolutely, that's natural, right?
Yes, of course.
So last sentence from your side.
Well, I really think that we should move from an ego system to an ecosystem, and so guarantee the satisfaction of our needs without compromising the possibility of the new generation to satisfy their own.
Thank you very much, Michaela. Tom, last word.
Yeah, that's word. Now it's word.
That was the word.
That's how I do it. Well, I think I can match. I think it's collaboration.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's something that I hear a lot this week. And what you triggered me also on more self-reflection. I think that's also very important for a company as itself and everybody who's working in this industry. The collaboration, we didn't touch that yet, but the Yachting tool is very, very, I don't know whether you guys know about it, but the Yachting tool is something that is also in the Water Revolution Foundation, but it's a great tool for designers, but also for the rest of the industry. So, one word, collaboration.
Yeah. Thank you. You perfectly narrowed it down. So I think, yes, collaboration was the word for you, and I thank you very much for your good time, for the discussions that we had prior to it, the discussions that we had on stage. And I think also a huge thank you to the audience for being with us, for being interested in the topic, and especially for seeing such a really fully booked place. But we would not be here if we would not collaboratively be interested in it, and especially for taking the initiative from Robert and also Eric
to bring this together, to bring the people on stage, to give us a stage to talk about, and for you also to dedicate your time to maybe switch perspectives, change it on something new, and maybe just planting the seed in your mind and reflecting upon what sustainability means. It's something that is surrounded in every one of us, in our daily lives, in our corporate lives, and thank you very much to you for your time. And I would like to invite for Q&As, if there is. Yes, please.
Yes, I have a burning question. So far, CO2 free. The things I heard a lot about sustainability, but I'm really interested in your first slide about the 3 parts of luxury. The traditional one focused on having things of beauty, the new one focused on experiencing things, and the neo one of contributing. That's how it struck in my mind. It was new for me, interesting. What I hear about sustainability, to me, it feels most of the middle one, experiencing something, and really contributing something is what you're looking at. And I heard one interesting view of contributing, regaining the wealth of other people, doing something with it ourselves. But maybe one of the panel members could elaborate a little bit more on how our industry could contribute a little bit more, other than becoming sustainable, because that's simply, the basic step, I think. I'm not quite sure who to address this to, but Tomo, you're mostly a visionary person, as I know.
Thanks a lot. Now, contributing, well, we heard something already, trying to use your vessel as a laboratory, getting where you are, get the stuff there, and then make sure that it's available for everybody. But it's a tough one, actually, because when I was thinking about it, we thought about it on the E.ON project. I think you were there also at that time. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we were thinking indeed about a laboratory within the vessel. And really that was it. That was a client that we thought of, and the client, of course, we didn't say anything about the client that we're really working for. So it was an imaginary, like others, imaginary client, which was very interested in that. And therefore, that's maybe also what you were saying, you need clients to embrace that. And that's something that we can promote.
Maybe something to add on that is, it's already happening. I mean, look at the numbers of startups working on green technology. Who's funding them?
Yeah,
Those are the wealthy people.
Yeah.
So that's already happening.
And we had also a client that wanted to use the yachts to get medical equipment to certain countries, for instance, kind of stuff. That comes from the client, actually, from my point of view. And that's again, they have got the resources to put into these projects, and for them it's also fun to make something happen in the industry, not just in our industry, but in the total industry.
For instance, from the designer point of view, there could be even the social aspect in selecting material techniques that can be a cultural heritage that could disappear. And instead, the possibility to, for instance, now it comes to my mind, a lady who promoted the conservation of some embroidery techniques through the fact that old women that now are disappearing teach to abuse women and women in prison how to make those techniques. And of course, it also allowed them to have more independence, more recuperate dignity, have an activity to where to invest, and this is a social aspect that can be really important as well, because there are all the culture have some beautiful techniques that could be lost. So our effort could be even to update them, to use, to adapt to the future and keep them in life.
Yeah, also maintaining craftsmanship, cultural heritage, that's yeah, that's also a key part. Yeah. Thank you very
More
much.
questions?
One and then two, I think. Yes.
Question, I have an answer.
We need answers.
Maybe you will have a question afterwards. It's with regards what is really important here to do, and I think it's something what we can all start today or tomorrow with. And it actually connects to what you have been saying about the money coming in. You ask money from someone who really doesn't need it, but you take the money and then we spread it. What I think is needed is that we take maybe currently a bit more money, so asking for a true price, or at least start to present the true price. We can all do that tomorrow, or maybe after a little research. And then we have the opportunity for the client to choose if he will pay that price or if he doesn't. And then you have authorities maybe going to obligate it. But the first step is that we can offer it. And hopefully someone will pay a little bit more. And then also we as the ones who are getting a bit of that pie are also able to pay the true price to everything what we do daily.
Maybe elaborate a little bit what true price is. Maybe, I don't know.
It's a whole lecture. It's a whole lecture. True price actually is that you pay the price for the boat, for example, but everything what is the impact on carbon footprint, but also in a more different way, you pay the price that your boat is like neutral. And from the price, you have to pay the people, but you also, these days, you still have to compensate. Let's face it. And we cannot create everything carbon neutral. We have startups who are bringing us towards that, but we're not there yet. So currently, we do have to pay extra. And then, so that's what I understand from the true price or fair price, how you want to call it.
I think that's part of sort of what I meant, but this is actually, obviously it's something, how we sell us as an industry to the owner. Is it that we set the standard, yes, we are sustainable in whatever way, and can we sell that to the client and say, this is the whole thing, and if you go this route, it's not sustainable, it actually should not cost more, it should not cost less, it should cost more if you're not doing this way. So it's a shift in that way, but and I think we're probably not there, but as you said, we should start tomorrow with it. Definitely.
Hey.
Today, actually, sorry.
I will take it with me on the commercial.
I think there's room for one more question, and then we're actually out of time.
Well, I'm curious. We as a society, we agreed that we're going to be net zero in 2050, and we're going to reduce our footprint to 50% into 30. Right, sorry, 2030. Yeah, no, 100% in 250 and 50% in 230. For example, if I look at other markets like the building industry, they work with an environmental footprint coefficient, and every year it's going to be lower and lower. So every builder, architect knows, okay, I need to think about what materials I'm going to use for next year's project, because if I do not use the right materials, I cannot build a building. So I'm curious if the yacht building industry is thinking about this linear path towards that zero, and what's, if there is if you can agree on that linear path, then you're going to have a good competition to make sure that you still exist next year, because your product will not be able to go into the market.
Maybe one comment to that. We have customers in the aviation. Those are the OEMs which building the aircraft. They're demanding a life cycle analysis for each material we provided, and its cost. And then mentioned the point about the quality. If you're not meeting the requirements, you don't have the quality of sustainability and you're out. So that's a pretty harsh concept. Not every OEM is doing it right now, but that would be something I would like to ask to the shipbuilders to consider that.
Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah. Again, I'm in the design department, so I think everything is great.
But,
It's a good topic during forum. Like, guys, let's discuss a linear way and what steps are we going to take.
I think that's what you mentioned by strategy. You need a strategy to come to the point where we are. We've got a strategy within the company, and it's not this linear, but it's related, of course. And if it would be in the total industry, that would be awesome. Yeah, that would be fair, actually.
I think there was also kind of a plan of, like we have in a car, as soon the car is getting old, you can't use it. So I think there's something which should be implemented in yachting as well, as soon as the boat, because yeah, it's getting old and it's more and more dangerous, it should not be used. So there should be some, like very soon, some, you know, lineup like similar to that, yeah.
So I think even just one comment to it as well. I mean, we've heard in the last days as well, and probably not all of us know it, but that actually the production of the yacht seems to be of the CO2 footprint 20%, 15%, and actually the running of the yacht is 80%. So if we're talking about now materials that we're using or not using, and then from my side on the interior, that is probably a tiny bit that we as a company can contribute, but we have to contribute that. But we have to look obviously on the whole life cycle of not the materials necessarily, yes, but on the yacht actually, and what does it do? And I think there it's a good process as of now with Yeti as well, that this is actually looked at, and that there is something where you can measure that, and then the benefits of that. If you change something with propulsion and or with anything that is related to the operational side, if you change that, then it does help you carbon footprint, for example.
Something as simple like that we don't have to, or you should expect our clients that they don't have to have a 5 times a day clean towel, or you know they go outside and immediately they change towel, because the biggest waste is not biggest waste, but like laundry room, yeah, or lighting, or like just to start with this operational side, yeah.
Right. I think we can go on for a long time. You know. Thank you all so much for your input. I think it has all given us food for thought, and especially a call to action on a personal level, but also to see how we can make this work as an industry. Special thanks again for the Water Revolution Foundation, Robert. Thank you for joining and getting all this together. And as a KNVTS, I would like to thank you all for joining us. Please feel free to join as a member, so we can have more of these type of events. And later this evening, select group, we will hopefully elaborate on this even more. So thank you very much.